Welcome back to our channel. Today, we are going to recap a horror movie, Girl in the Basement, released in the year 2021. On the highway, Dawn is desperately speeding up the car to reach the hospital. Sarah has Marie, her daughter who has difficulty breathing, in her arms as she urges Dawn to go faster. They reach the hospital, and while he carries Marie inside, he reminds her that not a word should come out of her mouth. One hospital staff member tries to revive Marie, as she has stopped breathing, while Sarah tearfully watches her from outside.
After this, the movie takes us back to 20 years earlier. Dawn and Sarah are with the rest of their family. It turns out that Dawn is Sarah's father, and the relationship has never been the best. Dawn appears to be very controlling of Sarah, a little too much for what's expected of him. He doesn't allow her to go out to a party, even though Sarah is almost 18, and that's what most teenagers do. Amy, her elder sister, who is currently in college, proposed that she could take Sarah. But Dawn was insistent on making her stay. She tries to ask for Irene's help, her mother, as she gave her permission weeks ago. But she just tells her to listen to her father.
Sarah goes upstairs but escapes through her windows while her boyfriend Chris waits for her. They go to the party to have fun and even have some alone time as he sings to her. Unknown to her, Dawn had discovered that she sneaked out and was furious that he waited for her all night just to scold her. Her mother had to interfere as Dawn was acting way beyond the line. Sarah's mother comes to her room while Amy's with her and informs her that she's grounded for a week. Growing more suffocated by her father's controlling behavior, she plans to move out as soon as she turns 18 to travel the world. Dawn, on the other hand, eavesdrops on Sarah's plan, which triggers something inside of him. He goes down to the basement, where apparently a bomb shelter is situated, and plans something to make Sarah stay. Sarah finally graduates from high school, while Dawn has spent a questionable amount of time downstairs. Irene is about to get some groceries, so she leaves the house with just Sarah and Dawn. Unknown to her, this is the turning point in their lives, especially Sarah's. Dawn calls Sarah to ask for help in bringing a box down the basement stairs, and even brings her inside the hidden room that he had fixed during those 3 months. Dawn asks Sarah what she thinks of the basement, and she expresses her dislike of the place. To Sarah's surprise, Dawn slowly walks back to the door and closes the door and locks her inside. The room is soundproofed, so no sound can ever reach outside, no matter how much Sarah tries to scream. She also finds her clothes inside a box. It's already night, and Sarah's mom is worried sick about her daughter, so she decides to call the cops while Amy calls Chris. Dawn just sits there, not even a bit worried about her, as he knows where she is. The next day, Sarah tries to escape, but after going through the first door, another door with an automatic lock awaits her. Dawn grabs her hair and drags her inside. He informs her that 3 failed attempts on the door keypad shut the power off, which means the ventilation that's giving her air to breathe stops too. He also emphasizes that he changes the codes every day, so Sarah shouldn't even try. Dawn is now the one in charge of Sarah's life. When Sarah refuses to acknowledge it, he holds her against the wall as he takes advantage of her. Upstairs, Irene gives her statements to the police, while Dawn interferes by making the police believe that Sarah has run off to fulfill her plan to visit all 50 states. The cop assures them that situations like this resolve themselves, and long before they know it, Sarah will probably contact them to inform them of their plans.
It's day 7, and Sarah's face is full of bruises. She gets by the day by remembering her sweet memories with Chris. However, to make him leave, Dawn feeds Chris stories that Sarah has run off with a made-up boy named Steve. It's day 21, and it's Sarah's 18th birthday. As a gift, Dawn brings her some supplies, a cake, and a lacy nightgown dress. He asks her to wear it and do what he wishes, and in return, he gives her a clock as she requested. It's day 38, and Sarah plans to escape by injuring Dawn. However, because she's not been eating well, she's weak. So Dawn easily overpowers her and beats her for disrespectful behavior.
Almost a year has passed and Sarah is pregnant, given all those times that Dawn has touched her inappropriately. While cleaning the room, her water broke, and she gave birth to a healthy baby girl, whom she named Marie. It's been 4 years, and Irene is still crying over Sarah's disappearance. Sarah became a lot calmer when interacting with Dawn, and was once again pregnant with his baby. Marie has also grown up. Sarah tries to explain to him the idea of letting them go, but Dom dismisses her and goes back upstairs. It's been 4 whole years, and he's done a very good job of living 2 lives. Dawn, the one whose daughter Sarah has run off with some boy, and Dawn, who's keeping the same daughter in the basement. Upstairs, Irene suggests they hire a private investigator, but he refuses and says that Irene has spent so much time and money finding Sarah. Dawn gets angry when Irene declares that she will never give up on Sarah. On Christmas, since Sarah has become a lot easier to handle, Dawn gives her and Marie a television they could use for entertainment.
It's year 7, and Marie is very sick, while Sarah is pregnant again with another baby. Dawn brings the medicine, but none of it is for kids, which might complicate her illness. Sarah demands a doctor, but Dawn just half-heartedly tells her that she should handle it herself. Marie has gotten more stable and is asking her mother for another bedtime story. Sarah tells Marie her own story, but alters some things, as Marie will never understand her situation at that young age. She also sings the song Chris wrote for her. Sarah was right, because Chris still hasn't given up on her. He bumps into Amy and discovers that the story about Steve was all made up. Amy feels that Dawn might have done something to Sarah, as he has a history of violence with their mom. The two of them comfort each other with a hug. Downstairs, Marie desperately wants to go outside to become a normal kid, but Sarah tells her that it's not up to them. To make up for it, she plays with her kids with flashlights and toys. Upstairs, Irene is mad at Dawn for feeding him made-up stories about a boy named Steve and Sarah to Chris. He throws a fit when Irene says that she's going to hire a private investigator, without noticing that he dropped his keys. Amy gets the keys and follows her gut, telling her to go down the basement. However, she doesn't see the secret door behind the cabinet with their supplies. Simultaneously, Sarah is giving birth to her 3rd baby and names it Thomas. She sweet-talks to Dawn about taking Thomas upstairs. Knowing that Irene is throwing fits about Sarah, he agrees. He leaves Thomas in front of their doorsteps with a letter from Sarah saying that she's doing okay somewhere with a boyfriend, but has no money to raise a baby, which is why she's leaving him with her.
Irene doesn't notice another small note in the bag from Sarah, saying that she was being held captive in the basement. But Don did, and he punishes Sarah again. It's year 14, and both Marie and Michael have grown into teenagers. Marie, on the other hand, is becoming more ladylike towards Don. To protect her from suffering from the same abuse she went through, Sarah, who is pregnant again, asks Don to leave her alone. Furious with this act of defiance, he turns off the power that limits their air in the basement. Marie opens up to Sarah about her worries about never knowing anyone and that she might never meet a nice boy. Sarah assures her that she will, and she's working on it. It's year 17, and Sarah is pregnant once again. Most of her children have grown so much that even Thomas is a teenager now. After noticing that there's a small hole where rainwater gets in, Sarah asks for her children's help to move a table so she can reach it, and carve it with a spoon to make it bigger. The night has come, and Sarah successfully makes a hole and flashes a light so she can ask for help. A neighbor who's walking a dog notices it, but instead of notifying the police, he informs Don about it. Furious by this, he goes downstairs and beats Sarah while she's pregnant. This causes her to miscarry and lose the baby.
It's year 18, and Don is having trouble keeping his job. Downstairs, he tells Marie and Michael stories about Thomas,
which makes them jealous. They misdirect their frustrations at Sarah and yell at her for not making them speak up. In return, she lets out her frustrations by messing up the place and lying down on the floor. When she calms down, she remembers her good memories with Chris and passes out. Marie puts a blanket over her and they clean up the mess she made. When she wakes up, the three of them apologize to her. Sarah asks them to sit down, as she thinks they're old enough to hear the truth about their situation. He reveals that the fairy tale she used to tell them is her story, and filled in the disturbing details, especially the truth that Don is both their grandfather and father.
Because of the disturbing truth, Marie gets a panic attack, and Michael thinks that something is wrong with them. Sarah hugs them both and reminds them that nothing's wrong with them and that all of this is Don's fault. It's year 19 and there have been financial difficulties both upstairs and downstairs. Don has been bringing fewer and fewer supplies to them. When he comments on Sarah's appearance, Michael throws a fit at him, telling him that he shouldn't talk to Sarah in that way. As a punishment, he cuts off their power.
Don loses his job, and Irene is mad at him because the money keeps on running out when there are only 3 of them in the house. He also gets a foreclosure notice that his property might be taken away from him. With that, he plans to eliminate Sarah and the children downstairs by directing the air supply they have to his car exhaust and killing them by carbon monoxide poisoning. However, he fails when Thomas arrives and stops him from filling Sarah's place with poisonous gas. It's year 20, and while Don is having a party with the rest of the family for Thomas's win, Marie is on the verge of dying from an asthma attack. Sarah asks Don to take her to the hospital, but Don is reluctant at first. However, when both Sarah and Marie plead and call him Dad, he complies. They leave Michael there alone, and Don tells Sarah that if he speaks, he'll die.
Now we're back to the beginning part of the film. Marie finally stabilizes, which calms Sarah down. In the lounge area, a nurse asks them for Marie's medical history, but Don answers it instead with vague details. The nurse gives him a piece of paper that he can use to fill out with contact information. Sarah asks him if he can go to the bathroom, but he refuses. So instead, she spills the water on the paper he needs to fill to distract him. When Don leaves her alone, Sarah uses this opportunity to approach a nurse and asks for help. Don couldn't do anything about it since a policeman was present at the scene and arrested him immediately. They also rescue Michael, who is out of breath, and Irene and Thomas can only gape in shock from seeing that there are people downstairs, and these people are their family. Time has passed, and Sarah is finally reunited with Amy and Irene. They watch Thomas, Marie, and Michael on the porch as they play with each other.
To Sarah's surprise, Chris comes and takes her to their usual spot. Chris apologizes for not trying hard enough to find her. Sarah tells him that she's thought about Chris a lot during the last 20 years. In the final scene, they ride his bike just like they did 20 years ago. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.